You're welcome back. This is Newsfile. It's your most authoritative news analysis platform. And here on Newsfile, we put Ghana first. Newsfile is brought to you by the candid sponsorship of Bank of Africa, strong as a group and close as a partner. MTN, everywhere you go. Star Assurance, your solid partner. Ashesi University, educating ethical and entrepreneurial leaders for Africa. Robert & Sons Optical Services, your comprehensive eye care service provider for 31 years. Fenat Ghana, think wood, think Fenat. Duroplus, how you get your water matters. Remember, where Duroplus goes, water flows. St. Thomas Eye Hospital, providing excellence in eye care. Haptel, everything you. Miway Insurance, dial *165# on the MTN to join. So now, I've been asking myself a question, Honorable Yusuf Seni. The whole state power that we have, we can't use it to fight Galamsey. What else can we be successful at fighting? Galamsey that is threatening our lives, our cocoa industry, our water, everything is at stake. Human lives, kidney problems, now we are being told, are all going on. What else? Jacob Osei-Yeboah, independent presidential candidate, he says, Samson, the 2018 ban on Galamsey and the 2 million ounces from Galamsey in the same year. You remember, while there was a ban, the same year, this is how much that got exported. Mm-hmm. And many people, including Solomon at the time, were shouting, how did this happen? You know, from Galamsey in 2018 clearly depicts, without ambiguity, that Galamsey kingpins are the government itself. It says, the too much noise on Aisha Huang makes it as if she is the only culprit in Ghana, serving as a distraction to the real fight. All arrests, including her, do not name the licensee of the concessionaires, but the poor workers covering up for the tycoons. Until we are bold to name the tycoons, forget about this, facade of fighting Galamsey, making Ghanaians look stupid in the eyes of the world. I was asking the same question yesterday. We have seen hundreds that have been arrested. We've seen hundreds of foreigners, including Chinese, that have been arrested and allegedly put on trial. In the end, the Fourth Estate did a right to information, request and got information, that suggested that only 2 Chinese nationals are in our prisons. And that was even also because they had actually been left off with small fines. And the Attorney General had to go to court, in a higher court, to contest the decision of the court as to the sanctions that were handed to them, and then got the sanctions enhanced. That's why they are there. Otherwise, they would not have been there. All the time is the small fishes that are caught, not the real guys behind them. And we know them, don't we?
We do. I mean, Samson, and the embarrassment is not only to the international community, but to ourselves. When you know that clearly those in authority are simply turning their back on matters that they are well seized of. Because you see, and you asked a good question, can state power be used to fight a menace like Galamsey, especially since it's targeting and destroying our environment? And also, it's now striking at our economic base. Cocoa. Sooner or later, we might be unable to sell our cocoa. Our oil is a finite product. Cocoa is a renewable product. And so you must be thinking, if we are unable to solve Galamsey, what happens to the future generation? What happens to intergenerational equity? How are future generations to take care of themselves? That is why I have always said that even though state power, enormous state power, might be a necessary first step, it cannot be the solution to Galamsey.
Explain that.
Well, you see, because the state cannot be everywhere, it's quite expensive to maintain state power everywhere. So you need collaborators.
There are DCEs everywhere.
Yes.
There are police stations everywhere.
The DCEs need collaborators. The DCEs, they need collaborators. So, yes, I agree with you. A multi-stakeholder approach is the way to go. What are we doing in recruiting and enlisting the support of opinion leaders within communities that are being subjected to this devastating mining? What are we doing? What are we doing to recruit the support of CSOs? What are we doing to encourage investigative journalism for people to go behind the scenes, like JoY says? How do you put a nexus between the ban and the 2 million ounces? How did that happen? Don't we need to understand? Who will take that project up and let us understand how it happened so that government can act? If we leave it to government, I say, as a matter of fact, that while in office, somebody came to me wanting to continue to do Galamsey. I said, no, it's very impossible. You can't undermine the process. We think that we have a duty to ensure that we sanitize the small-scale mining sites. After several attempts to get people to influence me to give him permission, he failed. What did he do? He went and joined a political party, contested an executive position, bought himself the license to mine illegally. So even the political parties must know and must be interested in which people take up our positions. I've never seen a country where political parties simply do not care who comes to contest for positions in their party. Do they do due diligence on them?
We are always told that the BNI, now NIB, always does some work before appointments and things.
Somebody is flaunting his wealth. Is the Ghana Revenue Authority interested in how that person came by the wealth? Is he interested? So that we have a fundamental problem as a country. And that is why I came down from Tamale to take part in this program. Probably mobilizing citizens against Galamsey might be the way out. Because we all know the effect on Galamsey. And now, when the doctor spoke in 2013, I had already said that people must be interested in going to the hospitals and seeing whether we are recording stillbirths, whether we are recording deformities, so that we can all appreciate what Galamsey and the use of mercury and cyanide on the illegal mining sites is doing to our country and our people. But until we develop a coherent and effective, comprehensive strategy, all we continue to do is to engage in rhetorics. And rhetorics will not...
After this stakeholders, conference, you were a part of, very integral part, and I remember the president acknowledging you and asking that all of you should put your heads together because you have the expertise, beyond what is on the face, and that's a worthy credit. I thought that, everybody thought that we were on the path.
That's what led me, that's what convinced me to accept the invitation to even chair the first session. Because I just said that you need a multi-stakeholder approach. There must be a buy-in of everybody so that people can be emboldened to report to the authorities those who are engaged in the wrongdoing. And you just reminded me of the district chief executive. I said one first step probably was to give the district chief executive KPIs, key performance indicators. Because Nana Adodanko Akufo-Addo cannot be in Safi also, cannot be in Edibo or in Kawe. That's why he's appointed people to be there. Fortunately, those people are from those areas. So if you're not interested from Bongo, you're not interested in protecting the people of Bongo and its environs, then are you really worthy of being the district chief executive? Are you really worthy? Because if I'm not interested in protecting the people of Tamale from environmental carnage, then why do I continue to sit down in the office as the district chief executive? And you are the highest political authority. The regional minister is just a coordinator. People tell me that if the district chief executives act, they might get removed from office. What do you suffer if you get removed from office because you are doing the right things? What do you suffer? I mean, at least you leave.
Well, they have come to office, and the idea, generally, wrongly though, of political office in Africa, not only in Ghana, is that it's an opportunity to amass something, get something for yourself and your family.
That is the problem. So nobody is prepared to leave office with a good conscience. But you are put in office to work. You must leave office believing that you contributed to the elimination of a problem or the development of the country. You must not leave office thinking that you have benefited from the occupation of the office.
The little district assembly common funds and things that should come to them, so they would also have independence to engage contractors, and through the procurement process, they would also, what we already know, the proverbial 10%, they would also get something. That doesn't happen. Now it is central government that is procuring everything for them. They just sit there, they hear that somebody is coming to do some work. So if they are in a place where there is mining going on, they find that, as we understand, they are anecdotes, they find that to be the fertile place to also get something.
That's why Dr. Kokofu said it's a system failure. The system is collapsed. That's why the turbidity levels in the water bodies are going high. In fact, the river bodies are dead. We don't want to say that, but that is the truth. The river bodies that we have now cannot support aquatic life.
I think that's obvious for anybody who is looking.
So what are we telling ourselves, those who used to depend on the river bodies? Don't you see that we are exacerbating poverty? Because we are taking away from people their means of livelihood.
Some need that for irrigation
purposes.
Yeah.
They are having to buy water to be able to do that. So
you want to fish and you can't, fish can't live in this water.
My brother, take it from any angle. Galamsey. And I hear people say people's livelihoods. No. The fact that you want employment doesn't justify you going to take up guns and engage in armed robbery. What is sad about illegal small-scale mining, although imperfect a regime we have, there is a regime. There's a legal regime that allows people to apply and be registered as small-scale miners and licensed to engage in that. So we cannot be treating those who have decided to treat our laws with contempt, with kid gloves. We cannot. That's why I believe the state must come down hard. But the state coming down hard can only be effective in dealing with the menace if we engage all stakeholders across the board. Fringe communities, I went to Chicheure as a minister, and the Queen Mother told me that all those, and that story has been collaborated even today by your reporter Adu, all those people who are engaged in illegal small-scale mining are not people from the community. They come from elsewhere. So that should tell you the community can be a veritable source of information in your fight against Galamsey. Why are we not engaging them? The NADMO officer living within the community and looking on when there's a looming disaster waiting to happen. What is he saying about illegal small-scale mining?
How do the people or locals mobilize when their chiefs in some number are telling them, we are powerless, we can't do anything?
No. Power belongs to the people. Even those, yes, some will suffer. I mean, if you want your freedom, you must damn the consequences. You need your freedom. It's never given to you. Here they need their economic freedom. They need to live in peace. They want to protect their property. They must come up and stand up against Galamseyers. The Galamseyers cannot kill them. They might kill some of them. They might wound some of them, but they cannot wound all of them. Look, fear is what...
You saw those pictures from Lubo. You saw those pictures from the Cocobots, monitoring. How the people literally have to give up or give in. Otherwise, they will be killed. That's what is going on. People's compounds, their homes, they are digging for gold.
I saw a town in which the whole town had been ravaged by Galamsey.
That's right.
And the people were saying that, well, it is the community chief who's given the Galamseyers the right to do what they are doing to them as a people. But
I don't know what he wants to do with the money he gets.
The chief? But it's not supposed to be their chief. A chief is a chief for the people, not for himself. You are sitting where you are sitting because your ancestors provided leadership. And they are thinking that those traits of leadership inherit in you. That's the same concept that is happening in Britain. Because your ancestors provided leadership. If you fail in providing leadership, nothing prevents the people from removing you as a chief and failing to recognize you as a chief. So the people who are suffering must rise up.
But what should be the state's role? When you see that place, I mean, I don't know what to say about it. You can see that now the buildings, they have cracks all over them because they are giving way, and the people will still have to live in them because they don't have alternatives.
Because the people allowed that to happen to them because they felt that they could do nothing.
Why are you saying they allowed it? They are telling you how their lives are at risk. A reporter cannot go back to the place. We know, look at Erastus Sasaridonko. Even in the situation where they busted these people, where there was a bit of security support, even that, his life was at stake.
Our reporters cannot go back to the place because they don't feel confident that they'll be protected. That's why they can't go back. And so we have allowed the mafioso to take over. They are dictating and putting in place their laws. That's what is happening. But if our reporters know that what they are doing is in the public interest and is going to serve the interest of this country, and they are sure and confident that the state will provide them with security, they will go back. Because they are doing a public service. But state officials
we are told the stories of how security officials are complicit. We're told about even army, leaders are being escorted by their officials to go and take cash from these, obscure places.
Yeah, and that is the problem. The whole system is so compromised that, I mean, sometimes you think that we don't know where to start. The whole system. Because you see, take Aisha Wan's case, for instance. How she even got into the country, went back to Kumasi, engaged in the same activities she was engaged in before she was arrested the first time. It's mind-boggling. But that is only possible because of collaborators. That is only possible because there are people to protect her. And that calls into question our patriotism? Are we just looking on while some group of people are despoiling the environment? The president said, well, in the stakeholders conference, the mining is good, it provides employment. But it must be done responsibly. And I agree entirely with you.
And the responsible part is the process that has been started.
Which one?
And yet, that you were part of the initial processes.
No, the responsible part. And Solomon made a fundamental error when he said that both the small-scale miners and the large-scale, the Galamseyers despoil the environment. No. The small-scale miners, the difference is that because they are given a license, that license stipulates the conditions under which they can mine. Now, a breach of that license entitles the minister to withdraw a breach of the conditions of that, and it's in the law. It's in the law. So you are not supposed to mine 200 meters to the water body, period. And so if you are found mining, and you cannot even be given a concession close to a water body.
Well, it's the same laws that you have that says every excavator must have, it must be monitored and cannot get into the mining concessions or mining grounds unless they have these, what do you call them that you put on them?
Tax. The trackers.
The trackers. And they pay for them annually.
Yes. Annually, yes.
And yet the excavators find themselves there.
So
when we arrest about how many, 500 of them?
700, and
they get lost.
Yes.
So the government has to take a decision to ban them outside.
No. The first time the 700 excavators were seized, about 700, and they got lost, that fundamentally affected the trust and confidence that people will have in the fight against illegal small-scale mining. That compelled an invidious responsibility on government to demand accountability from those that they had put in office. But because we did not see that, that weakened the fight. Again, there was a flouting of the laws of the country. Act 995 clearly spells out what should be done in the event of a seizure.
Let me go to Dr. Jesse Yivo, Senior Research Fellow, Institute for Environment and Sanitation Studies, University of Ghana, and member of the University of York, UK, and University of Ghana research team. Doc, thank you so very much for your patience, and we thank you and your team for helping the nation in these discussions because of the, rare insights that you have because of the work that you do. Some of the pictures we have put up are coming from your investigations. At this point, would you say that an outright ban, a complete, cease work, either for small-scale mining or whatever you call it, might be the way to start?
Thank you very much, Samson, and good morning to your esteemed panelists and your listeners and viewers. And I'm happy to be on the program this morning. I very much agree with what Honorable Fuseni said regarding multi-stakeholder approach to this problem. We've gotten to a stage where, in fact, everybody seems overwhelmed. And government over the years, to me, have failed us as a nation. Even the media. So we are in a situation where it's like a patient being in intensive care, and under such situation, you need a lot of surgeons or a lot of specialists to take care of you. Mm-hmm. And so, for such an operation, you really will have to look for experts who are specialized in certain areas and can take care of that particular diagnosis. Now, Honorable Enusa mentioned multi-stakeholder engagement, and I have also listed a number of stakeholders that can be brought on board. Not necessarily banning the activity outright, but we can take a back seat and probably look at how to be able to solve this problem. I mean, the right way to solve this problem. So for me, if we engage the National House of Chiefs with their sub-chiefs, and then we engage the communities, we also have to engage the Minerals Commission, Water Resources Commission, the Forestry Commission, society. And I think one of my panelists also mentioned that CSIR should be involved, the academia should be involved, and the small-scale miners associations should not be left out. Together, in fact, it should be, a multi-stakeholder body that, for me, the government or the president should agencies or these bodies as a committee that will sit down, look back, diagnose all the issues, what are the real problems. Is it about livelihood enhancement? Is it about lack of law enforcement? Is it about our institutions being weak or whatever? So if you bring all these stakeholders together, for me, they will have to, just like it has started, they have to sit down and brainstorm and come out with the right diagnosis. Otherwise, most of the actions we have taken so far are just on ad hoc basis. It's like I said, taking care of a patient and intensive care, and we are administering just a painkiller to that patient. On the surface, the problem may go within minutes, but it will resurface, and that is what our problem is. Like you rightly said, yes, our research has taken us to Etiwa West District. The footage you show at one point actually is a part of our research. And that particular footage where a whole township appears to be, devastated, to be destroyed. What happens there is a new system of mining called the, in fact, the local people call it the Queen system. It's the metal detector system, where they use a metal detector to kind of scan the earth surface and, exploit or look for this mineral. So wherever the mineral, anything metal, it can be even an ordinary nail or anything metal is detected, then this device beams, to indicate that there is something there. And then immediately they start digging. So you see people digging right, behind people's buildings. They dig within households. They dig on compounds. They dig everywhere. And they
why, Doc? Are we subhuman? What's going on? How can that be going on in people's homes? I don't get that. Can you tell us how that goes on?
Yes. When the metal is detected near somebody's home, the operators negotiate with the house owner. In fact, normally, from our investigation, we were told that some of these operators, they hire the machines. They hire the machines, and the operators themselves negotiate with the house owner. They offer huge sums of money, which can put up another house for that particular house owner. They offer huge sums of money, and the house owner is willingly, willingly gives out his or her house. So they, come in, do the mining, take their gold, give you your money, and then you go and resettle yourself elsewhere. That's what they do. And money is actually changing hands here, and it's like money is everything to them. So that is a problem. And when you ask everybody in the community, they will tell you our ecosystems have been destroyed. Our ecosystems have been destroyed. And like you rightly said, cocoa farms have been dug around. People don't have access to their farms. But the most dangerous aspect is the fact that most of the places you see as bushes around most of these communities are left abandoned pits which have collected water and have aquatic weeds grown over them. So if you are not even careful, you are going to get drowned in these pits.
So your research, to what end?
Come again, please.
The work you are doing, to what end? What's the end game?
Well, I think my colleague was on the program last week.
That's right.
And our plan was to stage a theater to educate the community members, start with the community members which are affected, and then from there we bring that theater to the national level. But it couldn't materialize because of the resistance we had from the community members. So the research is not ended yet. Now we are engaged in what we call photo voice, where we are still engaging the community members to come out with environmental issues or environmental problems that they have found to be pertinent in their areas. And so they go out to take pictures of environmental issues. And then we are going to have an exhibition very soon in the College of Education, the College of Education. We are going to have an exhibition there very soon to, see some of these environmental issues. I mean, in the form of pictorial, in the pictorial form. So we are going to invite some of the stakeholders to come to the exhibition to see what these pictures.
Did you say the community members, the community that you are seeking to bring salvation to, they are rather resisting you?
Yes, they were resisting because, particularly in that community, the community's name is Esunafo. There was a group that was strongly against Galamsey. And so anybody at all who goes there, whether you go there with good intentions or bad intentions, they suspect you to be coming to promote Galamsey. So that is the reason we're not allowed to go on with our theater program, because when we visited the community, of course, we had to report ourselves to the chiefs, or we have to, contact the chiefs and the elders. And they felt that the chief and the elders have been compromised because the chief and the elders, more or less were trying to, bring in Galamseyers to the community. So once we went to seek permission from the chief and elders, they suspected, us to be part of that team. And so we didn't allow us to carry out with our program.
Okay. Francis Opoku, you are Director of Finance and Communications for the Ghana Association of Small-Scale Miners. It doesn't appear you and your people have been responsible enough that despite all the efforts, and you would have heard everybody is talking about multi-stakeholder, people are just tired of this cliche. Every time, multi-stakeholder. We have been doing it for how many decades now? And we still can't see anything. And that's a question I get asking myself over and again. What's just wrong with us? What can we achieve? What at all can we achieve? If we can't achieve this thing, you know, stopping the wrong that are being done. We know the Lands Natural Resources Ministry, you know, has a special process, actually together with the support of other ministries, the Defense Ministry, the Interior Ministry, the police. They are doing everything to get you guys to do the right thing. What's this? What else can they do?
Okay, Samson, let me take this opportunity to greet our distinguished co-panelists there and say good morning to you too and your cherished viewers and to all small-scale miners in Ghana. Samson, to be honest with you, most small-scale miners, licensed small-scale miners, my group, are equally concerned and worried when we see some of these pictures about destruction of our water bodies and then our forests and the emerging consequences that we face as a country. And honestly, we are even more worried because at the end of the day, it's our work that is at stake. If there should be a ban, like you've been mentioning, we suffer most. But before I go on, let me come back to my brother, Dr. Solomon. We know how passionate. Correct. He says small-scale miners don't pay taxes. He's wrong. Small-scale miners pay taxes through withholding tax. And we all know that withholding tax is one of the tax regimes that are very effective. And it was even recently that the government of Ghana reduced it to 1%. Initially, it was 3%. So we were even grouped as people who pay a lot of taxes. And it was like it affects everybody. Secondly, he also said that small-scale miners mine haphazardly. And I'm happy Honorable Minister Afuseni came to correct that impression, which is wrong. Small-scale mining certificate licenses are site-specific. So you can't, and we are operated, we are monitored, our operations are monitored. We have the coordinates guiding where we are supposed to mine and where we are not supposed to mine. I will not say that everybody goes strictly by that because, it's not everybody who will actually go strictly by the laws. People are culpable, people can violate once in a while. But one thing that a lot of people don't know is that when it comes to licensed small-scale miners, we are people who have gone through the process to acquire licenses legitimately from the Minerals Commission, which have been signed by the minister. And we are about only 25% in this sector. We have illegal mining that comprise people who are working right on the water bodies, which is totally illegal. And then people who are working in our forests, our forest. And then people who are also working on prospecting and mining leases that are not meant for small-scale mining activities. But this is where there's a glitch, something. If you want to get to the actual cause of illegal mining, it is those who are working in our forests and those who are working on the water bodies. When Minister Abu Jinapor took power, there was a call for consultative dialogue, which we all applauded the initiative. And we suggested that there should be, there should be consultative, discussion enough, and there should be collaboration from all stakeholders, which my Honorable Minister has alluded to the fact that we all embrace it, we're all happy. And we were thinking that Once that call has been made and we have all made input into the process, the implementation was also going to go the same line. Luckily, I was the one who spoke on behalf of for the small-scale miners. And we came out clearly that the concentration should be on the water bodies. We should focus there first. And then the forest resources, the forest and reserves. But when the minister came out to say that, okay, there have been some red zones where the military, the joint task force of the military, they should go and then tackle, we expressed concern that if they veer off, it will not achieve the results.
Okay, I think we lost Francis there. We will try and get him back so that he would give us, everybody else is going to give us some 2 minutes of what they think concretely has to be done on the back of the layers of activities that have been ongoing in this regard. Samuel Abu Jinapor joins us. He's the Minister for Lands and Natural Resources. Thank you very much for joining us, sir.
Good morning, my good friend Samson, and good morning to your panelists and to your listeners. Yes.
Thank you. Now, the UGBS policy brief on the fight against Galamsey tells us that there's an article, they tell us that the illegal mining, as we know, has persisted in Ghana, not because of weak state capacity, but primarily because of political leniency and law enforcement corruption. And their conclusion is that any anti-Galamsey crusade that fails to tackle the political drivers of the problem is unlikely to succeed. When conventional means appear to fail, are you contemplating some unconventional approaches? Because, as is agreed, your ministry and what you have been doing, that's a lot of work, but it does appear the results is not seen.
Yes, so Samson, thank you very much. And once again, good morning to your cherished listeners and viewers. The report that the University of Ghana is supposed to have come out with, and also the numerous commentary which I've followed about this age-old menace of illegal small-scale mining, they are all absolutely welcome. I mean, I think I need to make that point and make it possible. They are all absolutely welcomed, and the contributions and suggestions various people have made individually and collectively are all absolutely welcome. Now, the reason why I say it's welcome is anybody who has a careful understanding of the extractive industry anywhere in the world, whether it's the petrochemical industry or the mineral sector or whatever, will agree that the issue of illegality and the sense of entitlement and the fact that the common denominator of that industry is money, because we're talking here about gold, and gold is really money. And therefore, those illegalities tend to be endemic, and dealing with them tend to be complicated. Now, you recall that when we held the consultative dialogue in April last year, we came out with a resolution that dealing with illegal small-scale mining will not be an event, it will be a process. But it will be a process which required a concerted, sustainable action anchored on integrity and transparency, and which is why I agree with this report, this policy statement, that whatever you do, if your effort or your law enforcement effort is tainted with politicization or is discriminatory, or if you want, it deals with one section of people but doesn't deal with a certain group of people, you are bound to fail. Now, I must say that a good deal of work has gone into this matter of small-scale mining. And we have been dealing with this matter from a two-pronged approach, the reformative approach and the enforcement approach. They must go hand in hand, which is that whilst you are enforcing the law, you also must put in place a regime which makes that sector sustainable, which makes that sector viable. Always and always remember that small-scale mining contributes 40% of Ghana's gold output. And the gold industry gives Ghana its highest foreign exchange earning and is the highest revenue mobilizing sector when it comes to exports. So there's a link between small-scale mining, gold output, our national economy, our currency, our foreign exchange status, and all of that. So when you are dealing with small-scale mining, you have to deal with it tactfully, because you don't want a situation where you also roll out an enforcement regime which literally kills the sector completely, which will mean you will lose 40% of your gold output, which will mean you will lose income into your national economy, which will jeopardize your economy. So whilst you are regulating the sector, which is a reformation, which are some of the things we've done, community mining, bringing the gold processing, gold catcher, mercury-free gold processing equipment, reforming the licensing regime, the cadastral maps we brought, the online applications, working actually hand in gloves with the small-scale miners association to make sure that we identify those who are engaged in that industry responsibly and in a manner which doesn't jeopardize the environment. That is one bit of it. Then the second leg of it is the enforcement regime, which is where the matter you put before me comes in. How do you proceed on that? And how is it being done? What I can say is that you recall that a lot of measures were put in place, decommission of excavators, really going after these illegal small-scale miners, declaring forest reserves and the river bodies as red zones. And that also came up with its own controversy and its own commentary. You have to be too high-handed. You are clamping down on people who are trying to make ends meet, and so on and so forth. It will appear that in that period, there is some resurgence of this phenomenon of illegal small-scale mining in a manner that is not satisfactory. It simply means that we are going to ramp up the enforcement mechanism, the enforcement measures. And this has been occupying almost all my time in the past week or two. And in the days and weeks to come, the Ghanaian people will see that the enforcement measures are going to be ramped up. But I need to caution that it cannot be an event, something, and it cannot be the responsibility of the Ministry of Lands and Natural Resources alone. It is going to be a collective responsibility. There is a public relations aspect of it, which I'm holding meetings on, for example, on Monday, that all of us, including yourself, Joy FM, all of us, chiefs, political leaders, opinion leaders, assemblymen, the citizenry themselves, all of us have roles to play. And collectively, I believe that we will be able to come to grips with this matter. But I want to really conclude on responding to you by insisting that a good deal of work is being done on this matter. A lot of results has been achieved. We've moved several steps forward. We are not at a satisfactory situation yet. It will appear that there is a legitimate concern about this phenomenon rearing its ugly head again. Of course, there have been videos I've seen which are as old as 5, 6, 7, 10 years old, which certain people are, for their own purposes will put out into the system to generate needless hysteria and all of that. But that is not my concern. My concern is how we take action to make sure that we move forward with this matter. And moving forward, we will, definitely.
So I ask that question, if the conventional approaches don't appear to, bring as much results as you expect, how about unconventional approaches? And you seem to rule out one of them. Among the public, the suggestion is that go back to when you issued a complete ban. There are some who are suggesting, can you declare, or the president, get the president to declare a state of emergency in those areas affected by Galamsey as a process of, managing and controlling the situation?
So, first of all, outright ban of small-scale mining, it is not new. It's not novel. We've done it before. In 2017, 2018, or 2018, 2019, I think, small-scale mining was outrightly banned. That's been done before. So the question as to what were the ramifications of that and how did that work out, I think we all have to examine that. I have done that examination. And banning of small-scale mining or such sectors in the international arena in terms of other countries, I think that the literature is there for all of us to appraise ourselves of that. So the question about banning small-scale mining is not a matter we have not attempted before. So we need to examine how that panned out. Number two, I've already indicated to you that Ghana until 2022 was the #1 producer of gold in Africa, who were #6 in the world. Gold continues to be the #1 foreign exchange earning for the country. Indeed, today as we speak, the Bank of Ghana has rolled out a gold purchasing scheme to shore up our currency. They are buying gold out there, out of small-scale miners with cedis and converting it into dollars to shore up the city. So pay attention to that as well, respectfully. Thirdly, as I say, the small-scale mining sector contributes 40% to our gold output. So you can readily tell the implications of it on our gold output if it is banned outrightly. And then you also talk about the fact that we should put an outright ban on small-scale mining and come to grips with it and so on and so on. My attitude will be that we continue to strike that balance between reforming the sector, because there are those also who are involved in small-scale mining, who are doing it legitimately, who are reclaiming the lands they excavate concurrently, who revegetate, and who even revegetate with economic trees such as palm trees, and who employ hundreds and thousands of people in communities, and who contribute to the local economy and the national economy of our country, who do it legitimately. I can take you to several community mining schemes where they have sick bay, where they are changing rooms, where they mine responsibly, just as it's done in Australia, in Canada, in USA, in South Africa, and other places. Okay. So we need to focus on ramping up our efforts in bringing that kind of situation to be the norm rather than the exception.
Thank you very much. Let me just, Cocoa Board, Water Company, all of them are concerned, and they are all depending on the leadership that you bring, especially at the very top, to make sure that these things don't continue to endanger the country's economy and our livelihoods the way it currently is. Thank you very much once again, John. Samuel Abu Jinapor, he's the Minister for Lands and Natural Resources. Kwame Esiedu-Sapong, whose presentation was truncated, if I could get a minute of him back on the issue of the disease and things. Kwame, thank you very much. A neurologist is suggesting to me that it is important to be cautious about how we present things, not to unnecessarily, scare people, that you can function with one normal kidney, but that is not the norm. And when you have kidney failure, by default, both kidneys are damaged. The second kidney is not a spare part. That there's a need to correct some impression that was created wrongly. What will you say finally about the health issue?
I have left this conversation, I haven't listened to everyone, thinking that we are not addressing the health issue. We haven't gotten anywhere near addressing the health issue because we haven't even started dealing with the problem of illegal mining properly. I just listened to the minister. And for me, that should concern all of us. And that is where I'll leave it. It should concern all of us that we haven't even started dealing with the health implications. So without wanting to say anything, it probably will get worse before it gets better.
Okay, so we definitely would need, as it were, another session to focus on the health issue properly, because we need you all to be on board to discover that we are doing ourselves a lot of harm and future, and we can't afford to do that. If you had just a sentence, what will you say?
Well, I think that our well-advised leadership of this country not to over-concentrate on the contribution in terms of monetary terms to the economy of this country. That is letting us to continue to commit all the errors that we are committing.
Thank you very much, Honorable Inus Afuseni, also for your contribution. As always, my outfit is by